All right, good day and a happy new week to you. You're welcome to today's edition of Political Spectrum, coming to you live from Uyo, the state's capital. I'm your host, Onuese Ehinomalu. Our conversations for today would continue on political and economic developments around us. Well, on President Tinubu's administration's calendar, today is August the 14th, Monday 2023, and it marks exactly 78 days of President Bola Tinubu in office as the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. That is, about 2 months and 17 days, and gradually moving to his first 100 days in office. Well, we will begin by bringing you updates of developments in our neighboring Niger. A lot happened over last week and towards the weekend. Now, it's not surprising that at 19 days after Niger's coup, hope rises as junta leader opens talk with the ECOWAS. Now, the leader of the military junta in Niger Republic, General Abdurrahman Chiani, is said to have indicated interest in dialoguing with the leaders of the July, as Chiani's regime had earlier refused several peaceful overtures and entreaties from the regional bloc, especially after a raft of sanctions and a threat of military intervention by the West African leaders to restore democratic order if the coup leaders fail to reinstate the ousted president. But speaking during a meeting with Islamic scholars from Niger, Chiani was quoted to have said that the doors were open to explore diplomacy and peace in resolving the matter. Islamic scholars led by Bala Lau, chairman of Jamatul Izalatu Bida Waikamatu, Suna, reportedly met with the junta in Niger's capital on Saturday. Now, in a statement Lau issued after asked if the discussion for the dialogue took place, Prime Minister of Niger, Ali Mahaman Lamine Zain, said yes, for sure, that was exactly what the leaders of our country told them. He did not say he was not open to dialogue. He also expressed optimism that talks with ECOWAS will take place in the next few days. According to him, and I quote, "We have agreed and the leader of our country has given the green light for dialogue. They will now go back and inform the Nigerian president what they have heard from us. We hope in the coming days," time of filing this report, the Communications Division of the ECOWAS Commission in Abuja was yet to confirm the reports, as calls and messages sent to them were yet to be responded to. Meanwhile, members of the ECOWAS Parliament on Saturday set up a committee that will lead a delegation to Niger for mediation. Speaker of the Parliament, Sidi Mohamed Tunis, who announced members of the committee in a virtual extraordinary meeting, said the delegation will be led by First Deputy Speaker Idris Wasi of Nigeria. Now, the parliamentarians aligned themselves with the heads of states of ECOWAS on the steps taken to restore democratic order in the belligerent. Have called on ECOWAS to treat with caution concerning the political crisis in Niger Republic following the removal of President Mohamed Bazoum. But while the ECOWAS leaders have activated its standby, allowed to escalate. Now, a columnist, public commentator, and professor of communications who specializes in journalism and emerging media at Kenshaw State University School of Communication and Media, USA, Professor Farouk Boregi, said military invasion by ECOWAS is not a bet. Public are very complex. There are several issues that led to the ouster of the former President Bazoum. Also, there is the reason internal issues in Niger should be allowed to be addressed by the Niger people themselves, Boregi said, adding that destabilizing Niger is akin to destabilizing Nigeria. Military actions make no sense. These groups, France, Russia, and others in the West, are pushing for their interest, he said. There will be refugees there. If there is a war, we will be launching a project of self-sabotage. Most of these refugees may be brothers, and it will spark war. Yoruba and Igbo are living in Niger also. The same people who are from Nigeria are calling on the government not to declare war because it may cause. The war will benefit France and the United States. It's not going to be in the interest of Nigeria and Niger, Boregi said. Even as he stated that the French-speaking countries in West Africa are still under colonialism. Now, also, a former minority leader of the Kaduna State House of Assembly, Professor Shehu Usman Modibo, corroborated that the two countries are inseparable and that any crisis in Niger will affect Nigeria. According to him, the old Sokoto Caliphate and the old Kanem-Borno Empire are moved into Niger Republic. These communities are together despite the border. Some of them are in Nigeria. Their farms are in Niger. The same thing with the other people in Niger. Their farms are in Nigeria. This is how close the two places are. Now, he said, and I continue to quote him, "We have a military government in Niger, and any attempt at military invasion, they will declare war and come out to fight the ECOWAS soldiers. Burkina Faso and Mali will be supporting the military junta that will cause more crisis to our region," he said. While advising ECOWAS to pressurize the military to organize elections because the closure of the border is already biting so hard. Now, the entire crisis, he said, is turning into a polar and more of a proxy war. France has always been a long burden to these French-speaking countries because their mineral resources are controlled by France, including their currency. Now, let the military junta release all the political detainees, including the ousted president, and he should be allowed. Rahman Chiani said at the weekend the coup in which they overthrew President Mohamed Bazoum was well intended and was carried out to avert an imminent threat that would affect not only the Niger Republic but also Nigeria. This came as the Catholic Bishops' Conference of Nigeria, CBCN, for the second time in a week appealed to the federal government to take head-on the corruption, insecurity, and skewed appointments in the country, rather than declaring war on fellow Niger Republic. Recall that prior to ECOWAS leaders' decision to adopt a military option against the coup leaders in Niger Republic last weekend, the Catholic bishops had advised the chairman, President Bola Tinubu, and other West African leaders not to give in to military intervention in the country. General Chiani had lamented that ECOWAS didn't hear their side of the story. He said it was painful to the coup leaders that the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS heads of state, and the government leaders did not hear their side of the matter before issuing an ultimatum to them to quit office. Speaking when he received Nigeria's intervention team, specified the option of dialogue in resolving the political crisis in his country. A statement by the leader of the Islamic group, Sheikh Balal Lalu, stated that General Chiani, who accorded the team warm reception, welcomed their intervention. According to the statement, the military leaders said their doors are open to explore diplomacy and peace in resolving the matter. He apologized for not according to the team, said angry about the ECOWAS ultimatum. Now, while tracing historical ties between the two nations, he said Niger Republic and Nigeria are not only met with the General Chiani for several hours in Niamey, during which they deliberated on all issues, including the demand by ECOWAS leaders that former President Bazoum be reinstated. Now, Balalau, national chairman of the Islamic group, had said the clerics were in Niger on behalf of President Tinubu, who accepted their request to intervene. Sheikh Lau said the team had earlier told President Tinubu that their position was that the political impasse in Niger is resolved through dialogue. He therefore told General Chiani that the visit to Niger was to engage in constructive dialogue to encourage him and other military leaders behind the coup to toe the path of peace instead of war to resolve the crisis. Now, a statement by the leader of the Islamic ulama, Sheikh Balat Lau, stated that the General Chiani, who accorded the team warm reception, welcomed their intervention. According to the statement, the military leaders said their doors are open to explore diplomacy and peace in resolving the matter. Now, finally, he apologized for not according to the team sent by President Bola Tinubu, led by former head of state General Abdulsalam Abubakar, retired, the required attention because, according to him, they were Nigeria are not only neighbors but also brothers and sisters who should resolve issues amicably. All right, away from Niger and to our next report. Senate President, House of Rep speakers budgeted billions of naira to have convoys in 3 Nigerian cities each. These are allegations from certain sources. Let's see the report. Senate President Godswill Akpabio and Speaker of the House of Representatives Tajuddin Abbas have been accused of conspiring and inflating the contract sum for each vehicle to be bought for senators and members of the House of Representatives. Sources also reported that apart from the posh SUV for each federal lawmaker, Akpabio and Abbas Uyo, Abuja, and Lagos for the former, that's Akpabio, and Kaduna, Lagos, and Abuja for the latter, that is Abbas. Also, the Speaker of the House of Representatives wants to use over 5 billion of taxpayers' money for his personal convoys to be stationed in Kaduna, Lagos, and Abuja. This is scandalous and unacceptable when Nigerians are suffering, one of the sources said, one of the anonymous sources said. Let the Senate President and the Speaker of the House of Representatives make public the amount they have awarded to their contracts for vehicles for senators and House of Representative members. Also, Nigerians want to know how much the Senate President and Speaker of House of Reps awarded for the contract for their convoys and vehicles, another source had said. Now, recall that the media had earlier reported that Akpabio and Abbas were also accused of padding the 2022 Supplementary Appropriation Act with not less than 9 billion each. Now, the leader of the upper and lower legislative chambers had been accused of padding the budget for personal and selfish interests. Now, other principal officers accused of being involved in this budget padding include the Senate Majority Leader Okpeyemi Bamidele of Ekiti Central, All Progressive Congress, and the Chairman Senate Committee on Appropriation, Solomon Adeola, better known as Yayi Ogun, West APC. And for the House of Representatives, others accused of being involved include the House of Majority Leader Julius Nyomere, who represents Onwa Federal Constituency of Edo State APC, and the Chairman House Committee on Appropriation, then Abubakar Bichi APC Kano. The federal lawmakers, along with some of their colleagues, were accused of using the amendment of the 2022 Supplementary Appropriation Act as an opportunity to pad the budget. Now, documents obtained from the sources show how millions of naira were arbitrarily awarded to projects. These include the supply of tricycles, keke napep, to underprivileged in Oyo, Ogun, and Lagos states, that is 150 million naira. Supply of tricycles, keke napep, to underprivileged in Kogi and Kwara states, that's 100 million. Then supply of tricycles, the same keke napep, to underprivileged in Katsina and Kebbi states, amounting to another 100 million naira. Then supply of 1 unit of Lexus 600 VIP 2023 model Y for 250 million naira. Supply of 1 unit of Lexus L600 VIP 2023 model Y, 250 million naira. Supply of 1 unit of Lexus 600 VIP 2023 model X, 250 million naira, and model T, also 250 million naira. Meanwhile, Serap has filed a lawsuit against Akpabio and Abbas over the unlawful plan to spend 40 billion on 465 exotic and bulletproof cars for members and principal officers, and 70 billion as palliatives for new members. The suit comes on the heels of a statement made by Mr. Akpabio that the clerk of the National Assembly has sent holiday allowances into the various bank accounts of senators. Now, some 137 million Nigerians face extreme poverty. In the suit filed last Friday at the Federal High Court in Lagos, Serap is seeking an order of mandamus to direct and compel Mr. Akpabio and Mr. Abbas to review and reduce 40 billion budgeted to buy 465 sports utility vehicles and bulletproof cars for members and principal officials. Now, Serap is also seeking an order restraining Mr. Akpabio and Mr. Abbas from demanding or receiving 40 billion to buy 465 SUVs and bulletproof cars for members and principal officers until an assessment of the socio-economic impact of spending on 137 million poor Nigerians is carried out in public interest. Now, Serap also wants the court to grant an order of mandamus to direct and compel Mr. Akpabio and Mr. Abbas to repeal the Supplementary Appropriation Act 2022 to reduce the budget for the National Assembly by 110 billion to reflect the current economic realities in the country. The planned purchase is different from the official bulletproof vehicles expected to be purchased for the 4 presiding officers of the National Assembly. The budget of the National Assembly may further be increased as members are reportedly demanding, they are already demanding an upward review of their salaries and allowances, purportedly to offset the impact of the removal of fuel subsidy. Section 14(2)(b) of the Nigerian Constitution of 1999, as amended, provides that the security and welfare of the people shall be the primary purpose of government. Meanwhile, no date has been fixed for the hearing of the suit, but we are sure to bring you fresh developments as they occur. All right, we'll take a break, but before then, when we come back from the break, we'll be talking about developments at the CBN. This is Political Spectrum, coming to you live on Spectrum Television in Uyo City, the state's capital. Join us again, we'll be right back.
All measures, in particular border closures and strict travel bans and assets freeze, on all persons or groups of individuals whose actions hinder all peaceful efforts aimed at ensuring the smooth and complete restoration of constitutional order. Warn member states who, by their action directly or indirectly, hindered the peaceful resolution of the crisis in Niger, about the consequences for their action before the community. Call on the African Union to endorse all the decisions taken by the ECOWAS authority on the situation in Niger. Further, call on all partner countries and institutions, including the United Nations, to support ECOWAS in its effort to ensure a quick restoration of constitutional order in conformity with its normative instruments. Direct the President of the Commission to monitor the implementation of the sanctions. Direct the Committee of the Chief of Defense Staff to activate the ECOWAS standby force with all its elements immediately.
The ulama advise Mr. President that we want peace and reconciliation. Always, if there is anything happen between you and your neighbor, the Holy Quran commands you to reconcile. So we want reconciliation. That's what we are here. And our able leader and president accepted the offer that he wants us to intervene and to talk to our brothers over there in Niger Republic, the scholars as well there. How can we come together and bring a lasting solution to this problem?
The president deplored, coup d'etat in the Sahel region, and as a Democrat himself, he said he will do everything to ensure that there is democracy, justice, freedom, and peace in the sub-region. We as ulama are also committed to peace and jama to mediate as it is appropriate.
We still look to engage the party involved, including the coup leaders, in honest discussion to convince them to relinquish power as suggested and trust all avenues of engagement to ensure a swift return to constitutional governance in Niger. More specifically, as leaders of our respective nations, we must recognize that the political crisis in Niger not only poses a threat to the stability of the nations, but also has far-reaching implications for the entire West African region. Regrettably, the 7-day ultimatum we issued during the fourth summit has not yielded the desired outcome. We have also made diligent effort through the deployment of various ECOWAS mediation teams. I'm glad Abdul Salam Abubakar is here. His Eminence is here. Baban Kanogingbe is here to give you their report and their observation during the intervention. I must, on behalf of every one of you, show gratitude to them.
All right, many thanks for staying tuned. This is Political Spectrum coming to you live from Spectrum TV. And I already have my guest seated, Citizen Matthew Kofi Okono, MKO, productivity advocate and founder, president, Open Forum. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Nice to see you again. Nice shirt, nice jacket.
Thank you.
Nice pocket square.
You
always look good on Mondays. All right, the Open Forum is an NGO dedicated to people, issues, ideas, and solutions. So I'll be very correct to call you an interventionist.
Exactly.
And a humanist too.
Quite a great deal. I'm a reformer.
Okay.
I think for a living. And
You
I'm not
think
just,
for a living?
Yeah, I think for a
Wow, who doesn't think for a living?
No, a number of persons.
That was a joke.
A number of persons don't, and society kind of feel very comfortable when you don't have much to offer, so you can just be used as a slave. And you know, there's nothing impossible where you have slaves, but if you are a citizen, you will be ready to make contributions to the development of society. So that's a difference. That's where my title comes in, citizen.
That's a good one.
Thank you.
Anyway, let's go straight into developments.
Yes.
Now, General, the supreme leader, General Chiani, because I don't want to call him president, he was not elected, wants to dialogue. The dialogue seemed to have started, and a lot of conversations have ensued, although ECOWAS is saying the military force is on standby. So what do you make of all of this?
Well, we must first of all look at where it all started from.
Okay.
There was a coup.
Yeah, there was.
And it wasn't the first or second or the third coup in West Africa. And that was because Nigeria's president, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, was made the chairman of ECOWAS in less than 50 days of being in office, which to me was also strange. Okay. Strange because...
How strange?
Strange because as at about 2019 or thereabout, Nigeria headed ECOWAS under the immediate past president. Yeah. So, how does it rotate? Is it that
no, but there was
some handed over to our president? Our president, the former president, was the head of ECOWAS, which means within the last 4 years, so to speak. So, how does it rotate? That it has to come.
There's been arguments and sometimes rumors that most times they give it to the president from the nation that seems
has
to have the
capacity.
biggest...
That's
it may not be a fact. I'm just saying there are arguments.
We must ask
before.
questions because a lot of things are on the table now.
Okay.
Niger's coup is in the front burner now because a Nigerian is the president of ECOWAS, is the chairman of ECOWAS. So how do you wrote post-election case in court? It's not been resolved.
True.
And our man has been saddled with the responsibility which should be given to somebody that has been through with the elections and through litigations. Yeah. But here we are.
But whether the case is in court or not, it doesn't stop governance is a continuum.
It's a statement by the PDP, the opposition party PDP, one of the opposition parties anyway.
Yeah, one.
Yes.
Because there seems to be a lot of third
Yeah. The third was even almost greater. So they said that the sitting president is looking for the legitimacy. He's looking for something to cause destabilization in the country.
But
so
again, there are theories and conjectures. We never can say
no, this is press statements, and you don't just wave them.
Okay, press statements by
by the PDP.
That the person, opposition.
Opposition PDP.
Oppositions are allowed to say whatever.
Opposition. No party is able to do that.
I'll also be correct to say that any government at any point in time will always do activities that better and deeper legitimacy of themselves in office will be perpetuated. So I don't think this president has done anything wrong by trying to get more legitimacy or legitimizing his administration for that. Do you think he has done anything wrong?
No, that's it makes the conversation deeper.
Okay.
Now, the decision to go to war in Niger was military junta to say we are not going to receive the most powerful delegation that was sent. Did not meet with the head of the coupists.
Yeah, he cleared it now, that because there was an ultimatum without a discussion.
Yes, there was not just ultimatum, threats.
Yes, threats.
And the ultimatum, yes. And sanction.
Yeah.
Anybody, doesn't matter if it's Tiani or me or even you, there are things, there's a way you can approach an issue. Nobody is perfect. Yes, before you even look at why has Tiani and his people and even the citizens rejoicing over the overthrow, what are the issues there? But in this very case, I have said from day one, nothing anybody will tell me that I will accept. So, what's that organization in Nigeria, including in some other African countries that have approved of military intervention in Niger?
As resolving the issue.
Yes, let's look at Nigeria.
Okay.
You go, like the first person that went was the first one that was sent, the former head of state, Abdul Salam Abubakar. And then the highest ranked, in fact, the head of the Muslim Ummah in Nigeria, the Sultan of Sokoto, Said Abubakar. Yeah. Both of them went. There could have been no other level of intervention or mediation. But because ECOWAS had messed up from the start,
with the threats,
with the threats
and the sanctions,
I stand with Tiani and his people. They couldn't have met, but now you see, he has met with some others, and then the latest one having to do with Sheikh Lau, which is like a revelation to some of us. I've never heard the name of that Islamic cleric. There. Yeah. And
so what were all Muslim clerics and heads of different Islamic
organizations. Yes. And the northern bloc in Nigeria, the northern senators have said no. The coalition of northern groups have said no.
Yes.
The Jamaatul Nasr Islam have said no. Yeah. Arewa, name them. Yeah.
Civil societies across the whole length.
So, so that brings, because like you rightly said, maybe they always look for, let somebody just take your turn and leave. Let Nigeria come. Maybe out of every every four, two will be Nigeria will head. The commission will be just soldiers. They will pick from other forces. Yes, it can be a joint kind of thing. Who send more troops. And from what we even saw in public space, that 2 battalions have been prepared. They are now taking data, statistics of the weapons and all this and that. And I can't blame them for doing that, because if the commander-in-chief has spoken, pending when you get approval of the National Assembly, we need to put things in place. Because ECOWAS said, activate the military formations as a standby force. So, for me, it's unfortunate, very unfortunate, to appear more organized, more forward-thinking.
You think so?
Very well. At least for now, we never heard that, oh, any harm has befallen Bazoum.
No.
Because if the people were reckless, they would have said, okay, since we want Bazoum to be reinstated by all means, Bazoum is no more. Some people wanted to come and free him, and there was exchange of gunfire. We regret to announce. Yeah. We've not heard that.
No, but they could also know the implications of doing anything harmful to Bazoum, because the general himself, we are coming there, is aware that there are some powerful Western interests that probably, you know, have extension towards trade, wealth, resources, and all the likes.
You've just nailed the what do you call it?
Yes.
Yeah, you've just what we call the main issue on the front burner. Yeah. The issue on the front burner for me is not the coup in Niger. It is the neo-colonialism and the continuation of the colonial pact by France in their francophone countries.
Ably supported by America.
Yeah.
Because media sources, a lot of information have come to the fore.
Naturally.
And neither of the interests have denied it.
No, they can't deny, because, for one, U.S. has its own military base. Not just one. I think they said they have 2 military bases.
1,500 troops.
Yeah,
France
in Niger.
Troops.
Good. And what is at stake there? What is at stake, basically, is uranium. And apart from Russia, which we learned is the #1 supplier of uranium, and with the problem in Ukraine and NATO and all of that, even at that, despite the sanctions against Russia, they have not sanctioned getting uranium from Russia.
No, they've not. They avoided that part.
But you now come to Niger. It goes beyond just that, oh, they have uranium and they export, like we export crude. In fact, this conversation in Niger now made me to realize that Nigeria is also in a kind of slavery. I will come to that. But in Niger's case, what is it? They are the second poorest country on planet Earth. But they are so blessed with such resources. Yes, I don't know. Look at Niger, so blessed. The landmass so vast is bigger than Nigeria. And then about 27 million or thereabout will be less. Pact with France.
Yes, coupled with the fact that there is climate degradation, there is interland skirmishes based on climate changes. They have less than maybe 10-15% arable land for agriculture, because everybody seems to be drifting down south.
If they are the kind of developments that we see in Israel, in United Arab Emirates, where desert has been recovered, and then they are now planting, and so much there within them to grab. So the most important thing now is the coup de President Jacques Chirac and Francois Mitterrand, who had clearly said that without Africa, it's impossible for them to be who they are and where they are. And when you look at what was done to what's this man's name? The man in Guinea then. You asked for independence. France stripped the entire country. They took away whatever they could take away, and those things they could not take away, including structures, they destroyed it. They destroyed it. And a man like, what do you call him, man in Senegal, Seda Senghor, said that Senegal wants independence, but they do not want it if it will make France uncomfortable. Yeah, I'm not just paraphrase of what he said, but exactly that is the tone. They have the 11th colonial pact, which I read out, I think the last time I was here, which the world should be asking France, is it true that we have former colonies, you demand them to deposit 85% of their foreign reserve in France Central Bank and only get 15% annually? anything higher is 20%, and it's at commercial interest rate. And then you cannot explore your minerals. You cannot sell to anybody except France says, I don't want. You can't even build anything except you give it to France companies as right freedom. Niger, the coup in Niger has opened the eyes of not just Africans, but the world. So it must be the dominant conversation on the table. ECOWAS must put what has been going on in Francophone countries on the table.
On the table, for review.
For review. Because if you don't, I bet you even if, I don't even foresee it, because the conversation from the body language and the maturity exhibited by the coupists, they may say, okay, we are going to go back to democracy, give us 2 years to make arrangements, maybe in 2026, we are going to conduct elections, and we want the sanctions to be relaxed. We are brothers, particularly Nigerians, like we all know. Exactly. There is no border in the north between Nigeria and Niger. They get elected. They serve. I remember during the time of Shagari, there was a man, the Speaker of the Borno State Assembly. Was from Niger. Abdurrahman Shugaba.
From Niger.
I think it was from Chad.
Okay, from Chad.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not the only one. And we still have some people from there who are even still operating. And our former president has said his cousins are there. And that's where, if you tell me to come and give an account, I will go to Niger. I will have peace there. Unfortunately, I mean, I'm talking about Buhari.
Unfortunately, now,
unfortunately,
threats.
Not just threat. He has no views about this matter. So, the conversation, I insist, must include France, because there will be no guarantee for peace.
But real quick, that these Western interests may be using the office of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as head of ECOWAS. Could there be any substance of truth in this?
No, definitely anybody that doubts that may not be aware of the interplay in going to want to attack or fight the war. They're not just going to drive them. They are not kids playing on the field.
And war costs a lot of money.
No, look at what has happened in Sudan. Look at what went through in Rwanda. Nobody in his right frame of mind will just you don't have anything at stake. You go to war. You are not going for peacekeeping. Peacekeeping is different. Yes, you send peacekeeping sincerely. If Nigeria says it wants to go to war because there is a coup in Niger, the crop of people with such mindset should be branded as dangerous for us as a people because we are wiser than that. We had coups here in Nigeria. No country came and intervened. Not just intervened.
In the way that yes. Well, was there no ECOWAS then?
I wonder. Was there no AU? Was US, the immediate past, General Muhammad Buhari and his people, they toppled Shehu Shagari, an elected president, 3 months after he was re-elected. And what did we have? We had people like one singer in the West then, I think Kollington Anyela, and he was saying Sherebe, Bello. Naturally, not just because they are opposition people. They say you elect, you support somebody to get into office, the person turns out to be something else, you've been wishing that, God, can you take him away and all of that. So nobody came and intervened. Even when Abacha was the head of state here, and his style was kind of, this man is a, what did they call him, maximum leader, there were sanctions here and there. Are you aware? I'm sure you are aware that the economy under Abacha is better than the economy we are running now.
By far. Even the purchasing power parity of Naira had more.
Everything, even including development, including ideas. Which I just discovered not too long ago that Abacha discovered that the best thing to do, you don't talk too much. You just wear dark glasses and keep quiet. And you know, when somebody who maybe not too good upstairs keeps quiet, it becomes very intelligent.
Constantly paranoid.
So we don't have any basis to want to go to Niger because there's a coup. After all, we are trying to look at, was there a democratic coup in Nigeria where elections and results were said to be not in line with what people voted for, and is now we are the slogan now is all eyes on the judiciary.
All eyes on
all
the
the eyes on judiciary.
Yeah.
You have to listen to them,
Exactly.
and you need to
Dialogue.
also dialogue with them. Otherwise, if they have anything against you,
Yeah.
when they hold you where you know that I need to protect my
Fact checkers on the program have just checked for us. Niger is the 9th poorest country in Africa with the per capita income of $590. So Niger is the 9th poorest country in Africa. All right, thank you. All right, moving into the situations at the National Assembly don't seem to go away. Over the weekend, and municipal leaders at both chambers of the National Assembly budgeting billions to make sure they have convoys in 3 cities each. Allegations are at the expense, of the average poor citizens. And that report also talked about some kind of padding and all whatnot. How do you see this situation? Senate President Akpabio seems to be very popular this period.
Akpabio, president who later became a Senate president. It wasn't this loud. That was our man that died, Chuba Okadibo.
Okay. Professor Chuba Okadibo.
Yes.
Professor of mathematics.
Was it a prof or doctor?
Well.
I think Dr. Chuba Okadibo or something, whatever.
Yeah.
So, but Akpabio is an enigmatic fellow, and he contested side by side with the current president.
Yeah.
And the candidate, even though his own is better packaged than that of our man Lawan, because the person that held the ticket actually stepped down.
Yeah, stepped down.
The other faction eventually also stepped down, so
yeah.
we can excuse him.
Yeah.
Unlike the one that was, no contest, no nothing, but the person is there at the National Assembly. And then his personality, he has an aura about him. So that is not also too much to his advantage. Why? The current state of the country, the poverty rate, Akpabio is a generous person. Akpabio does not mince words about his lifestyle. So his personal lifestyle is going to affect some persons negatively who were not used to him.
No, but we're not. We may not really be talking about lifestyle.
No, it affects.
We are talking about some of the criticisms from "Let the Poor Breathe."
Yeah.
To prayers have been sent into your account balances.
It's still part.
And now to allegations that they are budgeting huge sum in billions to have. What do you need 3 convoys in 3 separate states for?
Good. That's why I use the word lifestyle. I remember he once went to, was it a party meeting or in a neighboring state, and he said he looked at the people and said, you look hungry. I take 1 million, and he mentioned an eatery that was popular then to go and have their lunch.
Yeah.
You understand? 1 million then. That was a lot of money, and somebody says it's for your lunch and mentioned the eatery. So for him to be Senate president in a time like this, he will want to consolidate by making the members feel comfortable. And members will not feel comfortable until something, prayers are sent to their mailboxes. But he also has to check the way he makes statements, particularly this very time. In terms of budget padding has been a reoccurring thing year after year under the immediate past administration.
True. Anyway, we are not lawyers, but let's start from the legality.
Yes.
Is it legal? Because some people argue in some quarters that it is part of responsibility of the National Assembly to readjust the budget, hence the word budget padding. But some other people are saying because you have that latitude, they now use it to their own pecuniary benefits.
Maybe the term is wrong, or I don't know.
Whoever coined the term must have thought about it.
Yes, because what they do is you can increase budget. The National Assembly or the State House Assembly has the power to increase budget.
So it is legitimate, it's legal.
It's legal.
It's a legal
but when you are padding it, it connotes an illegal,
derogatory, negative.
Secret, put this there so that you can get it out. And one clear example was what happened to the budget of the humanitarian ministry under President Buhari. Over 200 billion was sneaked as in quotes, because 200 billion can said, oh, it's for military weapon in humanitarian ministry. It was not put there by us. It was the Minister for Finance that put it there.
Implicating the Minister for Finance.
Yes. The level of corruption, like Kuka has said, until there is a very serious level of vigilance and demand for accountability, I bet you budget padding would not cease. Our people are not accountable. Like some of the things that we just discovered from what has happened in Central Bank now, never done any level of accountability. So for Akpabio, my appeal, we support him. He is very capable, but his body language, his style needs to be adjusted.
To be a little bit more circumspect.
Yes,
more
to be able
careful.
to fit in to our current realities.
Exactly, especially the plight of the average common Nigerian who does not have those privileges.
Exactly.
All right. If you're just tuned in, this is Political Spectrum on Spectrum Television. We'll take a short break. A few other things we would also add to our conversations to broaden your perspectives and to inform you. Stay tuned. Join us again. All right, many thanks for staying tuned. This is Political Spectrum on Spectrum Television, and we're just 1 minute past the top of the hour. Let's quickly add a few more developments. One very important one is from the Central Bank of Nigeria, as CBN releases financial statements of 7 years amid investigation. Now, the Central Bank of Nigeria has released the consolidated financial statements for the last 7 years, making it the first since 2015. Interesting that the Apex Bank will be making its book available for public scrutiny. Now you understand why a lot of drama is coming on. 2019, 2020, 2021, and 2022 financial periods. Now, the CBN declared a profit after tax of 103.8 billion in 2020. JP Morgan Chase and Goldman Sachs a combined sum of 7.5 billion as of the financial year ended December 2022. Now, report has it that the CBN spent a total of 1.2 trillion. The highlights of the Apex Bank audit's financial accounts for 7 years from 2016 to 2022, released on Friday, showed a sharp decline and recovery in its profits between 2016 and 2022. Yet, staff emoluments, take this from me, staff emoluments steadily rose by 119% over the 7-year period. According to the consolidated and separate statements of the accounts of the Apex Bank that was just released, profit had declined sharply from 124 billion to 100, declined to 34 billion, further declined to 30 billion in 2019 and 2020 before rising to 75 billion in 2021. Now, at the end of the 2022 financial year, profit for the year of the Apex Bank jumped to 103 billion. Just as during the 7-year period, staff emoluments had considered in 2017 and 137 billion in 2018. Now, the amount spent on staff allowances and benefits continued to rise to 168 billion and 183.6 billion, and also 200.04 billion in 2019, 2020, and 2021 of the central bank Godwin Emefiele, and audited by the auditing firms Ernst & Young as well as KPMG, showed that credit loss expenses for the banking regulator increased to 875 billion in 2022 from 498 billion in that of 2021. Now, Ernst & Young, together with KPMG, the independent auditors, had in their report payment of loans and advances using the expected credit losses approach in line with the relevant accounting standards and recommendations of the amount and the level of subjectivity, loans and advances. Now, balance sheet for the bank expanded from 21.9 trillion in 2016 to 57.9 trillion at the end of 2022. Expenses incurred by the bank rose to 888.3 billion last year compared to 884.2 billion in 2021. Now, a breakdown of the amount showed that 346.2 billion of it was losses arising from upload on the CBN website, is an indication that the Apex Bank, under the leadership of the current acting governor, Folashodun Shonubi, is ready to open its book to public scrutiny. The suspended CBN governor, Mr. Godwin Emefiele, had come under attack for not releasing the financial statements to the public. The action of Emefiele is in gross violation of the CBN Act. The bank shall within, I want to quote the act now, the bank shall within 2 months after the close of each financial year transmit to the National Assembly and the President a copy of its annual account certified by the auditor. I quote, a report required to be submitted to the National Assembly and the President shall be published by the bank in such a manner as the governor may direct. Analysts are of the view that the failure of the CBN to publish the report could send wrong signals to investors and others interested in understanding the state of the economy. President Bola Tinubu had appointed Jim Obaze as a special investigator of Obaze, relying on the fundamental objectives set forth in sections 15.5 of the Nigerian Constitution as amended, was in furtherance of his administration's anti-corrupt fight. All right, more developments will be coming from the CBN. On another report, there were many others mentioned. Now, we know that the stories have been making rounds about the immediate past governor of Kaduna, that there are strong indications that the security reports by the Department of State Security against Nasir El-Rufai, one of the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's minister nominees, leading the Senate to hold back from confirming him, may have Akpabio Chief of Staff Femi Gbajabiamila and National Security Advisor Nuhu Ribadu. Now, the insinuations being promoted is that all the political gladiators involved in scheming out El-Rufai are looking for far ahead of the post-Tinubu years and are worried a cabinet post could put him in prime position to be a political force to reckon with. Okay, after confirming 45 of the president's nominees, the Senate did not clear former Kaduna State Governor. It also did not confirm Stella Okotete of Delta State and Abubakar Danladi of Taraba, both before and after the party primaries, standing firm against the former national chairman of the All Progressives Congress, Senator Abdullahi Adamu, who backed Senate President Ahmed Lawan for the APC ticket, in spite of expectations that power would be zoned to the south. And when the former governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, introduced the currency swap initiative, El-Rufai, along with 2 other state governors that sued the federal government, the CBN and others, challenging the policy at the Supreme Court. But how El-Rufai came to be nominated as a minister has been in the news due to comments. In 2022, Tinubu publicly said he would not leave the stage at the Kaduna Investment Summit until El-Rufai rescinded his decision to retire from public office and pursue other private endeavors. He said he needed him to stay and work with him. Now, in deference to Tinubu, who was the guest at the time, El-Rufai went on stage to meet him and said he would work with the then incoming government, even if it was on part-time basis. After emerging victorious at the poll, President Tinubu reportedly invited El-Rufai and looked around and decided that El-Rufai was the man who could deliver for him on that promise of uninterrupted power supply. At first, El-Rufai was said to have hesitated in accepting the offer. But before he accepted the offer to serve, El-Rufai was said to have informed the president that based on his past experiences, it was imperative for gas to be under the same roof with the Federal Ministry of Power, since gas was a critical component of electricity supply. In this, the new ministry will be known as Federal Ministry of Energy. Informed resources also hinted that El-Rufai proposed the setting up of a National Energy Council under the chairmanship of the president, with representatives of the relevant ministries, agencies, and departments such as Federal Ministry of Finance, Federal Ministry of Petroleum, Federal Ministry of Environment, and others. With all this, it was gathered that the idea was for the president to drive the initiative for uninterrupted power supply, while El-Rufai would implement it as a Minister of Energy. Now, closing up, now the president consented and asked him to assemble his team and get to work immediately. So, with the presidential directive, El-Rufai assembled a team and began working about 3 weeks before his name was sent, alongside others, to the Senate for screening on the 27th of July. Surprisingly, when El-Rufai appeared before the Senate for the screening, a senator from Kogi, Sunday Karimi, after commending El-Rufai for his achievements in public office, had the petition while screening the nominee. When El-Rufai wanted to speak to the petition, the president, Senator Godswill Akpabio, said he should not bother. His words, and I quote, "I have to inform all of you that I have received similar petitions from some people against other nominees, but this is not where we are to deal with the petitions. Our job here is to screen. And of course, we can refer petitions to where petitions will be dealt with. There are certain petitions we have to refer to the presidency or security agencies to look at. And that has nothing to do with us. By the time we go into confirmation, we will be investigations that allege that the petition was allegedly given. He was recognized by Akpabio. Immediately, he raised his hands. Now, reliable sources in Abuja said Senator Karimi has reportedly apologized to El-Rufai for embarrassment. Other prominent leaders also and politicians also from the same home state of Kogi have allegedly tendered their unreserved praise, have been propounded as to why El-Rufai's nomination may have been stepped down. Some say some inciting comments he made, video evidences everywhere. Some say it is not unrelated, which means it's related to some of the activities, including attempts at genocide. Politicians who feel that at the turn of the North, El-Rufai serving as minister may have so emboldened and empowered him and repositioned him strategically, you know, to be able to be like the favorite nominee for president. So all this.
I like the fact that you brought out the dominant conversation in public domain over the dropping a copy, a detailed copy, no matter how brief, of the security report.
Akpabio deliberately made the statement and said it was for them and they were going to keep it and forward it or transmit it to the appropriate quarters.
Yes, for all those that had petitions against them, and for some who at the age of 3, like the man that was able to gain admission to university with 2 credits.
Interesting.
Okotete, who got appointments for an office that required 18 years experience, but she didn't have even 1 year experience.
Even forgery of certificates, allegations.
Those are allegations. And then you also look at somebody who the court had found guilty of lying on oath, and which naturally should put him away for at least 10 years.
About 10 years.
10 years. Yeah. Whether it was gazetted or not. But you don't blame them. Who do you blame? Is the person that sends the names. They are nominees, and like Akpabio will say when he wants to make the Senate know that these people are not coming on their own. He said, is the president's nominee.
The president's nominee.
Anybody has questions to answer. Look at somebody like Kayemo. Kayemo wasn't in the list,
yeah.
but because I'm sure they saw that it was likely impossible for Equity to sell through, they had to say,
Add Kayemo.
we bring another person from
Delta.
It will seem as if, this Kayemo, we don't like him at all. You now send Kayemo. Kayemo had issues with the Senate. Kayemo has questions to answer even up till now.
Yeah.
His apology to the Senate for having been rude to them has not addressed the issue of accountability under the Special Public Works.
No, but he tried to explain. If you had watched
there's no explanation until the documents and the data are made available, so that a state like Akwa Ibom will get to know, oh, we have 31 local government areas. That means we had 31,000 beneficiaries. Okay. It was 1,000 per local government. Until that record is cleared, whatever clearance Senate has given to him, it doesn't hold waters.
So you felt he still had to present, said that even the monies, the conditional cash transfers sent to the 774 local governments at 1,000 per head were moved directly from CBN to the accounts of the beneficiaries.
No,
and it had nothing to do with his ministry. That they didn't even see any finance.
No, those are
and he said that, and he said the document at the ministry and anybody can have access
and
to
he could not make them available. He had to refer them to NDE.
Okay.
But that's just by the way. What I'm trying to say is that Kayemo did not bring himself to the Senate to be screened. It's Mr. President that nominates.
Yes.
And for the issue of the most controversial of them all, Nasser El-Rufai, Kaduna State became one of the most troubled states in the country.
Yes.
And
there were allegations there too.
Knowing who Nasser El-Rufai is, if what had happened in Kaduna happened in any other state, Nasser will have called for a state of emergency to be declared. Kaduna State has the highest number of installations.
In Zaria.
Jihadis were having a field day. The Southern Kaduna issue is something that must be probed over time in this country. But that's not even the issue. The issue is his personal utterance. The ones that we will not even say play, let the world see, because of what it will entail. He has never even come out to apologize.
No, but
neither even disown.
But people will argue with you
yes.
that his personal utterances and his beliefs and ideology do not have anything to do with his public records.
It does.
A lot of people claim that whilst he was Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, he had an excellent record. While he became Governor of Kaduna for 8 years, he also had some kind of...
I see why you built Lagos and all of that. Those who never lived in Lagos, who don't know much about Lagos, will just believe.
Just take it hook, line, and sinker.
We know the people that built Lagos.
Okay.
Yes. So you don't just because people have access to media, throw up informations, and have been there in the corridors of power, and they can make things happen, and just take whatever they say.
So you think in El-Rufai's case, his statements were also
El-Rufai, it is a security report.
Okay.
The DSS has
but
not...
we do not know the details of the security report.
Yeah, the little that we know, for me, I said to have come to power and what it is meant for. I said to myself, this man will excuse himself from public office.
Because of the statement?
Yes, because of this. You can, even if he's saying something that is wrong, like when they were doing the 2014, 2015 elections, the kind of thing he said about PDP and Jonathan.
Yes.
And
when they were opposition.
Yeah, when they were opposition. And you see how somebody like Lai Mohammed was hitting his hand and say, oh, you have nailed it, and all of that. But all those time,
no, but we never really can tell which of these allegations are now working against him. Because there is yet another one.
No, they have said
there are some high-profile politicians, of course, with northern extraction, because obviously it is about the election that will be moving.
I will speak to that very briefly because that's not important to me. Those are side talks.
Okay.
Why? It's one of the indicators that we are not dealing with leaders here. We are dealing with have been destroyed. So far, we want to repair. You are talking about the next election. I didn't even believe it. Why? Because the people at that level, they should be trying to is gone without any plan. That fuel is going to sell for between 715, 750 or thereabout.
That there is a possibility of a rise.
Once they have said, they have just told you. That's how they announced it.
The same way we've heard that there may be possibility of further devaluation of the naira to up to 1,000, if not beyond.
But that is, it's real. The thing is that the control is, the reality is that control is not really there. That's why it's important we demand whosoever is going to public office, if they are doing debate, no excuse. You must attend debate. We must hear you out. You don't go to classes. You don't enter lectures.
Okay.
You want to go and write exams. Or if you come out with certificate that you have passed.
So as we wrap up now, what's your conclusion about El-Rufai?
My conclusion is that DSS know much more. Even he wants to.
True.
He knows, irrespective of the promise he made while looking for public office, you cannot sell the country on the platter of, oh, I promise I'm going to give you this. Anybody that's coming is coming with something to offer, yes, but the party should naturally, or a president or a governor should have a blueprint. Fresh ideas will come on board. So doing as if, oh, he will have been the only person that will have made power to be stable. That's a cock and bull story.
No, but he said it because of the template he presented.
There's nothing like template.
You know, to go ahead and constitute some kind of committee.
It doesn't matter. There are more people. There are people with more brilliant ideas. But what matters is the unity of this country. Your actions while in office.
The unity of the country should be at the apex of national security matters.
Whatever you do, if the unity, the peace, and the progress of the country is not priority, you are a security risk. So my submission, like I said earlier, is that when I heard that video, when I saw the video and heard the translation, and till now I've not seen refutal, I concluded that Nasir El-Rufai will excuse himself from public office tactically, because this will be a very big security risk. I bet you, if somebody from another sect had made such a statement, only God knows where we will have been in this country by now.
Citizen MKO, it's always nice having you on the show.
Thank you very much.
You know, unfortunately, times are never enough for us to cover these things. It has been a really engaging session here on the Monday's edition with Citizen MKO. We just have to move now because there are so many other programs lined up. I think we have the next program, business program, lined up. Thank you so much for being a part of the show. And as usual, we'll be bringing to fore developments as they continue to unfold. I remain yours sincerely, Onumese Ehinoma Olusegun. Remember to engage us on all our social media platforms, especially on Twitter, also known as X. Mine Twitter handle is @AustinHonor. Remember to follow us at SpectrumTv online. Follow us and watch all our videos on YouTube. The conversation for nation building continues. So until the next edition tomorrow, stay blessed and have a wonderful day. See you on the next edition.